the opportunity and the nice introduction. I'm a professor at Arizona State University, and I'm going to, with the background that Sir Bob has provided, give you a flavor for what the current status of funding for biodiversity is, both globally and in the US. So in the US, preventing extinction, as we all know, is a legal mandate for the Endangered Species Act. The issue is that the resources that are allocated towards endangered species are both insufficient and they also are disproportionately allocated among species. At the same time, as we just heard, the threats to biodiversity dwarf the resources that are available to mitigate human impacts. At the same time, we are experiencing continued growth. The list of endangered species continues to grow. So given this problem, what do we need to do? The short answer is that we need adequate funding for recovery of endangered species. This is a figure from a recent paper that was published in Nature, showing data for all over the world, globally. There's a strong relationship, a statistically significant relationship between biodiversity decline and conservation spending. Now, with this relationship, we can actually predict for a given level of investment in a particular geography what you're going to gain in terms of biodiversity recovery. The same pattern holds in the US. In fact, if we look at the total number of listed species, this figure shows a couple of things that I want to highlight. So this is simply the frequency of the total number of listed species, and the histogram shows species that are receiving less than what is needed for recovery. That's the deficit part of the figure, and species that are getting adequate or surplus. And the first comment is that you can clearly see that few species receive the funds they need for recovery. And we see that the species that are allocated less than deemed recovery, or the species that are allocated less than needed for recovery are mostly declining. You see that bar for decline in the deficit category is significant. And the other thing is that species